are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
Why is there a lion here?
What, are you some kind of spy trying to kill the Retro Reject? Well, I'm not gonna let that happen.
Help, the lion!
What? Jeez, what the heck are you doing, Nala?
Oh, hi, Retro Reject. I just saw this guy snooping around the house, and of course, I wanted to protect you, so, I just tackled him.
What? Nala, that's not a stranger. He's my best friend. I invited him over.
Oh, well, sorry, sir. Well, why'd you invite him over anyway?
Okay, Nala, I'll explain later. Sorry about that, D-boy.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not every day you get attacked by a lioness. So why did you invite me here?
Well, come inside. Alright, you two. It looks like you both are wondering why I brought D-boy here.
Yeah, and whatever reason it is, I certainly hope it doesn't involve any more lions.
Well, sort of. Because you see, today is a long-awaited moment of me reviewing the sequel to the masterpiece of the Disney film, The Lion King.
Oh, isn't it Lion King 1.5?
No. It's Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and I know, I've been waiting to review this movie because I promised it in, that Lion King Copa theory I made, a long while back. So, yeah, it's about time I reviewed this sucker.
And I see that you brought me along, because this must be a special occasion.
No, I just wanted you here.
Well, D-boy, you're not as special as me.
Hey, you better back off, kitty cat.
Okay, now listen, let's not get hostile here. Okay, just to simplify the plot for you, it's basically about, the story is about a lioness from Simba's Pride falls in love with an outsider lion from another fellow pride, and basically Simba's Pride and this other pride are basically, they're against each other in this all-out war against each other, and which still the princess from Simba's Pride and the male from the other pride, they just fall in love with each other despite their families hating each other.
I feel like I've read this in English class. This sounds familiar.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Huh. Are you sure? It really does sound familiar.
It doesn't sound familiar to me.
Well, I think that story sounds romantic.
Well, it pretty much is a romantic movie.
Why are we even reviewing this? Aren't all these Disney sequels just cheap cash grabs where Disney exploits some brand name for extra money?
Oh, no. You're confusing that one with the other one.
What other one?
Yeah, the live-action remake.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like that.
You are so dumb.
Well, anyway, why should we review this anyway? Isn't this one of those direct-to-video sequels that no one cares for?
Yeah, but what happened with this one is that it was more well-received because, well, basically I think since it was around The Lion King, I mean, what could go wrong?
I guess that makes sense and gives me a bit more hope for this. Maybe it will be an enjoyable watch.
Alright, now let's get on with the review!
What was that?
It's just my shtick.
So the film starts off immediately after the first film with Kiara's coronation, which is what was kind of shown at the end of the first Lion King movie. Seems simple enough.
Well, some people will argue with that statement because some people, as well as I, believe that the cub that was presented in the end of Lion King 1 is not Kiara, and it's actually Copa, who is missing in this movie. And so is Sarabi is missing from this movie, and as well as the 3 hyenas from the Lion King 1, as well as the Lion Guard is missing from this movie.
What's a Lion Guard?
That'll be for another day.
I'm telling you, buddy, it's gonna be like old times. You, me, and the little guy.
It is a girl.
Girl! Girl! Oi!
So the film starts off with Simba's daughter named Kiara, a bit older now, and exploring the surroundings. And it shows that she does have a taste for adventure despite Simba's overprotective attitude.
And remember, I want you to stay in sight of Pride Rock at all times.
At all times, I know. And if I see any strangers, don't talk to them. Come straight home. Okay, can I go now? Please?
Yeah, I gotta say, Retro Reject, Kiara does look maybe a bit cuter than Nala was when she was that young.
Excuse me, what did you just say?
Whoa, simmer down. I mean, shouldn't you take that as a compliment? She is your daughter, that's your genes, shouldn't that be a compliment to you?
Well, it doesn't matter. Nobody is cuter than me. I don't even care if she's my offspring.
Okay, listen, both of you two, stop arguing. I can admit that, yes, Kiara is cute in this movie, and in fact, if I could go back in time to when I was 7 years old, and if I had the choice to choose between Kiara and Nala, okay, well, I would still choose Nala.
You'd choose a lion? It's a little strange.
Alright, see, Retro Reject, I mean, you can deny it all you want, but I know you still love me deep down inside. But, D-Boy, I'm watching you.
So despite the fact Simba gave his daughter his blessing to go view the Pride Lands and explore the area, he still decides to send Timon and Pumbaa to follow and spy on Kiara so she stays out of trouble.
Keep a close watch on Kiara.
Now, I would do it myself, but I'm gonna be a little too busy with Nala.
Don't worry, Simba. We're on her like stink on a warthog. Hey, it's a hard truth, Pumbaa. Live with it.
And if anybody is more responsible to look after a cub, it's those two guys.
I mean, hey, you can't really blame Simba. I mean, after all, who's the next most responsible? Zazu?
Fair enough.
And stay away from the Outlands.
Nothing there but a bunch of backstabbing, murderous outsiders.
Sheesh, Zazu. I mean, that's a little harsh. I mean, why would you say that they're murderous? What could they have possibly done to... Oh, right.
Am I missing something?
Check out my Lion King Cobra review.
Oh. Well, wait a second. I mean, these outsider lions weren't exactly mentioned in the first movie. Where did they come from? So you see, after Kiara walked around for the Pride Lands chasing after a butterfly, she eventually catches Timon and Pumbaa spying on her.
Oh, don't worry, Kiara. Uncle Pumbaa's coming. Kiara? Dead. Pumbaa, let me define babysitting.
After that, she blatantly ignores Simba's orders to not go to the Badlands, just like he did in the first movie, and goes out anyway. Jeez, Kiara must have had some pretty terrible parents to be such blatantly disobedient.
If you say one more bad thing about me, I'm gonna claw out your eyes.
Okay, you know what, that's it. I'm moving over here. You move over, I don't want to be near her.
So Kiara meets this cub named Kovu, and at first Kovu was hostile towards Kiara until they accidentally get themselves into trouble with some crocodiles, and of course Kovu saves Kiara from the crocodiles, and before he can get eaten by the crocodiles, Kiara saves Kovu. So of course that means they're in love.
Maybe I should try that tactic. Know any crocodiles nearby?
Phew. Really brave. Yeah, you were pretty brave too. My name's Kovu. I'm Kiara.
Jeez, Kiara, you're like 7 years old in like human years, and you're already being this flirtatious with men?
She probably picked it up from me. I'm very flirtatious with Simba. And also you. Mostly you.
Of course she'd learn that from you.
You're really testing my patience, D-Boy.
Whoa, okay, calm down. I didn't mean it as an insult. Anyway, Retro Reject, what happens next?
So, of course, anyway, before their love could start blossoming even further, they get interrupted by the movie's main antagonist, which is Zira, who was apparently Scar's mate when he was alive.
Zira.
Simba.
Nala.
Zira. Simba.
Zira.
Nala.
Zira. Nala. Vitani.
Nala.
Zira.
Kiara.
Simba.
Nala. Vitani.
Nala.
Zira.
Her Kiara.
Gobu.
Zira.
Simba.
Nala.
Zira.
Timon. Pumbaa. Great. Now that we all know each other, get out of Pride Land!
Wait, so if Kovu's her son, doesn't that make them cousins?
Oh, don't worry. They make it very blatantly clear in this movie that Kovu is not the son of Zira and Scar.
But aren't Simba and Nala probably siblings?
Oh, don't worry. They make it very clear in the Lion Guard series that Nala apparently had a different father. That was not either Scar or Mufasa.
Oh, no, Simba. We have barely begun.
And I feel like I just need to say it. Zira is an underrated villain. Because considering the fact that in this one moment, she freaking pushes Kovu in front of Simba, basically telling Simba to kill him because it was a part of their arrangement of the deal was that if somebody crossed into the Pride Lands or if somebody crossed into the Outlands, basically sacrifice of whoever trespassed. And she's willing to give up like the sanctity of Kovu, who is promised to be the next person in line for Scar's throne. I mean, seriously, how interesting of a villain do you get? I mean, yeah, sure, she's not as menacing as Scar, but she's more psychotic than him.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. She definitely isn't just the female Scar, and she does have her own unique character traits that do separate her from Scar, and I really do appreciate it. I agree that she is definitely an underrated villain.
And also to bring up that little moment, I feel like that might have been a little reference to Copa, because, hey, Zira killed his son, and she's basically taunting him saying that, go ahead, kill my son. But by the end of the argument that happens, Zira takes Kovu back to the Outlands, which of course is pretty much a barren wasteland, and then we're introduced to Zira's two other children, Vitani and Nuka, who are like the official children of Scar, Nuka being the firstborn and then Vitani being the second. And of course there is a little bit of a sibling rivalry between Nuka and Kovu, because Nuka was the official son of Scar, but Kovu was handpicked by Scar to become the next king.
You thought you'd get to the daughter, and Simba would welcome you with open arms? What an idea! What an idea! You brilliant child. I'm so proud of you. You have the same conniving mind that made Scar so powerful.
And then it goes into a little bit of a segment of Zira singing a song about, well, basically the villain song of the movie, of how she wants Kovu to become king. And then also, meanwhile, back in the Pride Lands, Simba sings a song to Kiara about how they are one with each other.
Oh hi, it's the future Retro Reject. I just wanted to say, that's a Copa reference right there.
I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like Zira's song a bit better than Scar's villain song from the previous film. I just feel it works a lot better.
Yeah, it is a very underrated villain song. I mean, okay, let's just play a little bit of the segment of the song. Let's hope we don't get copyrighted.
The sound of Simba's dying gasp. His daughter squealing in my grasp. His lioness's mournful cry. That's my lullaby.
So basically, in the sense, this song is basically telling about her fantasies of Kovu killing Simba and his daughter to basically become king. And what was frickin' be prepared about? I mean, yeah, kill Mufasa and Simba, but it was just be prepared for changes happening.
Not to mention, this is quite literally a lullaby to her cub.
Yeah.
So she's singing this hymn to as he goes to sleep.
Yeah, pretty messed up. Like I said, not as menacing as Scar, but more psychotic.
So now, just similar to the last Lion King movie, we cut a few years into the future where Kovu and Kiara are both adults. And we do get a neat comparison and foil between how each of their families treated them. Kiara is treated with warmth and accepting by Simba to hunt in the Pride Lands, while Zira is sort of indoctrinating Kovu into wanting to kill Simba. And it's actually kind of a neat comparison, and how it's just such a big juxtaposition between the sort of, sinister and nihilistic point of Zira and the more family and happy oriented, especially in the music, which is in the background, but it can definitely be seen, it can be heard, and impacts the scene quite a bit.
They grow up so fast. It was like in the span of 30 minutes.
You'll do just fine. Daddy, you have to promise to let me do this on my own. Promise?
Okay, Kiara, you're like 18 years old in human years now. There's something very wrong with you calling your father Daddy. You know, there's probably something really shady going on behind the scenes. Oh, come on! I didn't even say it yet!
So despite the fact that Kiara is a full-grown lioness, and Simba promised her to let her explore and hunt on her own, Simba still insists on sending Timon and Pumbaa to spy on her. And once again, she catches them in the act and gets incredibly upset at her father.
Yeah. And most likely, I think that overprotectiveness came from the fact that Copa was killed.
I mean, even if you don't count Copa, in Lion King 1, he did have a pretty rough childhood, given the fact that he watched his own father die and grew up years thinking that he was responsible for his father's death. But still, though, while it is understandable for Simba's concern and protection, it definitely is overbearing to his daughter.
You know, honestly, that's why I like you more, Retro Reject. Simba is so overprotective.
Yeah, because it's not like you just wildly attack strangers who are knocking at your door for no reason.
Oh, you're still really testing me. Oh, I will come over there.
No one is going anywhere. But I do have to admit, Nala, you're very clingy.
So after that, we see that Nuka and Vitani are lighting the Pride Lands on fire in hopes that it would endanger Kiara.
And which it does.
Hey, is it on here? Is that just me? Dead.
Haha, is that funny? Nuka nearly burned himself alive. That's funny, right? It's real funny, burning yourself alive. Regardless though, moving on. The fire does work, and it causes Kiara to panic and nearly die in the fire.
Dead.
But luckily, Kovu shows up just in time to save Kiara's life, although she isn't very thankful for it, which I find to be a very strange response. Eventually she recognizes that this lion is in fact Kovu, you know, that one kid she met 10 years ago and spent about 2 minutes with, and then they immediately fall in love again. Of course, Simba, when he shows up, is pretty suspicious of this guy, and I mean, who wouldn't be? Would you trust your daughter to go with a guy with a face like that?
Or am I to be blamed for a crime I didn't commit?
And there's another Copa reference.
And wait a minute. That voice, Kovu's voice sounds so familiar.
What a blast! I can't believe I did that! She finally says hi to me, and what do? I choke! Yuck!
Oh yeah! It's kind of weird that a guy who voices a dog is also the voice of a cat.
So Simba is very reluctant to accept Kovu into his pride, but that doesn't mean he isn't cautious, and in fact he still insists that Kovu sleeps outside.
Right, and also the untrustworthiness between them both is solidified when Simba has a nightmare sequence where he images his father's death being dealt out by Kovu.
Dead.
So, needless to say, Simba isn't very accepting of Kovu at the moment. And I mean, again, he very clearly looks like a bad guy.
Okay, well, I'm not saying that I like him, Retro Reject, but I mean, he is kind of attractive. I mean, he looks very dark and mysterious.
So, the next morning, Kovu takes Kiara out hunting to show her how to be a better hunter. Where, again, coincidentally enough, they run into Timon and Pumbaa, who are trying to scour for some bugs.
Don't eat me, please. I never really met your tyrant. I mean, Scar. Oh, heck of a guy. A little moody, but...
And of course then hijinks ensue, which then a whole chase scene happens, and then it just ends up turning out being that everybody seems to be thinking that Kovu is not as much of a bad guy as everybody thought he was. And apparently this movie wants to make you think this is how lions kiss each other in real life.
So after that, it cuts to nighttime where Kovu and Kiara are looking at the stars and seeing all the different constellations. And we do see here that their upbringings gave them a slightly bit of a different view of the world.
Oh, look. There's one that looks like a baby rabbit. See the fluffy tail?
Hey, there's one that looks like two lions killing each other for a scrap of meat. I've never done this before.
Doesn't that sound like a great boyfriend?
After that, it then cuts to Simba, who is pretty much praying to Mufasa and asking him for guidance over Kovu, due to the fact that he still does not trust him.
But then Nala shows up and basically is telling Simba that she sees the romance that's going on and maybe she should give Kovu a chance.
Well, I really am kind of really persuasive. I mean, seriously, who would say no to this face?
So it then cuts back to Kiara and Kovu, in which Kovu then feels guilty and tries to leave, but of course Rafiki shows up and sings a whole song about how he ships them together.
Because Mufasa told him to.
It's a bit creepy that Mufasa really wants his granddaughter to be with this guy.
And then later that night, after the whole love song, when Kovu returns to Pride Rock, Simba seems to be a little more trustworthy, and even though Kovu has the chance to kill him, he chooses not to. And of course, Vitani is spying on them, and she sees that Kovu didn't do this, so she reports back to Zira, and Zira takes matters into her own hands. Pause. That's like the third time I did that kind of joke. But anyway, the next day, while Simba and Kovu are out walking alone, Zira and her pride ambush them.
And Zira does reveal to Simba that, in fact, Kovu only was with Kiara so that he could get close to Simba. And of course, Simba does buy it. I mean, I don't really blame him, but still, it is a bit suspicious she would reveal all of this. All for what? Just even with Kovu protesting it.
This is my moment of glory.
Dead. You.
Man, what is up with Lion King and just giving male lions scars? I mean, Scar has a scar, Kovu has a scar, even Kion has a scar. The only two exceptions are Simba and Mufasa.
After that, Kovu does return to the Pride Lands disgraced, in which Simba exiles him and tells Kira that she will never see Kovu again, and that she'll never go out to the Pride Lands by herself again, which upsets her.
And his only excuse is that Simba wants to follow in Mufasa's footsteps. Paw steps. Dang it, I did that joke again! But of course, Kiara's comeback to Simba is...
You will never be Mufasa!
Man, that was a pretty low blow.
But anyway, she goes into the den pretty much heartbroken, and she notices a little escape hole that she could get out of the Pride Rock without anybody noticing. Geez, where was that escape hole when Scar was in charge? I mean, pretty much all the other lionesses could have just escaped through there.
Maybe I should use that hole more often to escape Simba so I can be with you more, Retro Reject.
Gee, Nala, you really seem like a huge stalker.
You don't know the half of it.
After Kiara escapes the den, she goes out looking for Kovu, and eventually the two, after singing a cutesy love song about being separated, reunite.
Let's get out of here. We'll run away together and start a pride all our own.
I mean, to be honest, that doesn't sound too bad of a gig for Kiara.
Trust me, Retro Reject, from a lioness who has had 2 to 3 children, it's not going to be easy.
Kiara instead believes that she and Kovu can unite both Zira and Simba's pride to be together as one and live in peace. But meanwhile, back in the Pride Lands, Zira and Simba's pride are basically going in a full-out war against each other.
gotta say, the battle is actually pretty well done. It does have a bit of humor in there, but it still depicts it as being quite brutal, at least for a Disney direct-to-video movie.
Don't anybody move. This thing's loaded. I'll let you have it.
Well, that's a little unfair. You didn't even give them a chance to run away.
And what the final showdown is, of course, Zira and Simba. But before they could strike any blows against each other, Kovu and Kiara interrupt it. And of course, Kiara reminds Simba of the fact that of one of his teachings of that they are one with each other. And of course, everybody else is swayed by this. I mean, all the Outlander lionesses basically abandon Zira and.
This is for you, Scar.
Kiara!
Zira, come on. I'll help you.
And to be honest, I think it's a better death than almost a lot of other Disney villains. I mean, once again, she is an underrated villain.
Yeah, it definitely is messed up that she chose rather to die than to be saved by her enemy.
But in the end, Kovu and Kiara, they get married to each other. I don't know how that works in lion sense. But then comes to the end of the movie. Everybody now is living in peace and harmony.
And in a way, Kovu's prophecy is fulfilled, as he is now technically the heir to Simba's pride. So in the end, his prophecy was fulfilled, that he would succeed Scar as the head of the pride. But moreover, he did it through peace, not through hatred.
But it's still kind of a little bit embarrassing, because in the fact of that in Lion Guard, it turns out that Kion actually became king before his own sister becoming queen and Kovu becoming king.
Well, that messes up kind of a nice ending.
Yeah.
Wow, Retro Reject, that's such a great and emotional movie. It's probably really great, right, Retro Reject? And, I gotta admit, that Kovu is really sexy.
Well, I do have to agree, Nala. Well, except the last bit with the Kovu thing, but yeah, anyway, to be honest, yeah, it is one of the better direct-to-video sequels in the Disney canon.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely did feel like it had more effort put into it than the other ones. The animation was still pretty good. The voice acting, with virtually the old cast all coming back, it was all pretty good, and even the newcomers did perfectly fine in their own rights. And I also thought the songs, while they weren't as good, I did feel a lot of them were good in their own ways. Especially the opening song, which I feel is easily the best.
Yeah, it's called He Lives in You. I mean, a lot of these songs in the movies are really good. Like, He Lives in You, we mentioned the My Lullaby, which is the villain song with Zira basically singing about wanting to kill Simba. And then there's, the ones that are okay, which is, the one, it was the song that was sung when Kiara and Kovu were once lost with each other and now they're back together. It was called Love Finds a Way. It's just a sappy love song. I mean, it's not great, but it's not terrible. But then there also comes the really bad one in this movie, which I have to say is called Upendi. And if my knowledge of Swahili is correct, I'm pretty sure that means love. Don't hate me in the comments if I'm wrong. It's just, in my opinion, it's a very annoying song. And considering that it's just a shipping song between saying Rafiki wanting Kovu and Kiara to be together.
Yeah, overall though, I still feel the movie was pretty solid. And I have to say, I personally wouldn't mind if Disney decided to make a remake of it. What? I'm just being honest here.
And also, just kind of in my own personal opinion, I mean, I feel like this movie could have been a little bit better if it was with Copa and Vitani, because they are apparently a shipping together. But I mean, Kovu, Kiara, it's fine for what it is. And maybe one day we will get a Lion King movie with Copa in it.
Regardless, though, I still agree that it was a really good film, and definitely is one of the better direct-to-video sequels.
I mean, there are a couple of other direct-to-video sequels that are good, like Bambi 2. That's another really good direct-to-video sequel, in my opinion.
So, overall, this was a fun review, and I definitely did enjoy the movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess that concludes the long-awaited Lion King 2 Simba's Pride movie review. I really hope you guys enjoy it. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the heck you want to do.
And make sure you also check out my channel.
Yeah.
I do gaming, and I've also done a handful of movie reviews. I'm glad I could do this collab with Retro Reject.
Yeah. Alright, so until next time, the old school is out!